Thanks so much for making a date on Business Live. Welcome back. The International Monetary Fund says it has approved for disbursement of some $191 million to Ghana. This was after the country passed the assessment carried out to review her performance under the program. But it appears this did not come easy for the country. George Rafe has more on the statement released by the board.
According to the IMF, the board granted some waivers to help the country secure the pass mark and ensure that the program remains on track. Sources say the country missed out on the wage bill target under the program, as well as non-accumulation of arrears. The board, however, thanked government on progress made in putting the program back on track, as well as stabilizing the economy. It was, however, worried about the fact that the country's debts are still rising and that critical measures are required to put the situation under control. On the monetary side, the IMF was of the view that authorities should continue addressing fragilities in the financial sector, as well as the non-performing loans and problems in the microfinance sector. It also wanted the Bank of Ghana to follow up on the recent banking interventions and also ensure that confidence is restored in the banking sector, as well as dealing with issues of solvency and financial viability. The planned $191 million disbursement brings the total amount given to Ghana since it started this program at around $764 million. The development would also result in more of the country's donors actually dispersing funds to Ghana to help stabilize the economy, all because of the IMF program and progress made just from yesterday.
Now, unemployed graduates across the country can from today land a job by simply visiting a website and putting in an application. That is the assurance coming from President Akufo-Addo as he launched the Nation Builders Corps, which is expected to employ some 100,000 youth for the year 2018. President Akufo-Addo, who addressed the launch at News Great Hall, said the program forms part of efforts to make graduates employable as it will give them practical experiences.
It is important that we do things differently if we are going to banish the specter of desperation and restore hope and dignity to our youth. Our ultimate goal as a government is to grow the economy rapidly so that together with the private sector, we will absorb our teeming unemployed youth. That is why I'm using the opportunity offered by the significance of this day, May Day, to launch an initiative which, while lending itself to the symbolic nature of today, will have a positive practical impact on the lives of the citizens of this country. In this year's Jumapa budget, I gave an indication that a new employment scheme will be launched to tackle the issue of the growing number of graduates exiting our tertiary institutions with no job placements in sight. This new initiative is the Nation Builders Corps, simply referred to as NABCO. I hear you asking, what is going to be done about persons who do not have diplomas or degree? The answer is this. NABCO is freeing up the Youth Employment Agency, YEA, of the burden of dealing with everything to do with employment amongst the youth, especially graduates. NABCO is granting YEA extra absorptive capacity to concentrate on non-graduates. YEA will also recruit 80,000 non-graduates this year, whilst NABCO commences recruitment of 100,000 graduates. Government's commitment to job creation will not end here. but will be accelerated through the implementation of our flagship programs of One District, One Factory, One Village, One Dam, and the program for planting for food and jobs.
Let's still stay on labor issues, and there are strong calls for the country's labor laws to be reviewed to help improve the service conditions of workers. This has been influenced by the current conditions of employees, especially those in the private sector. A labor expert who took part in drafting Ghana's labor laws, Opening Patrick Obingfosu, says some of these issues as workers join, raised some of these issues as workers of Ghana joined their counterparts around the world to mark the May Day.
As Ghana joins the rest of the world to celebrate International Workers' Day, also known as May Day, the country's labor market continues to have some challenges that undermine the interests of employees. Although credible data on the total amount of workers in both public and private sectors is still non-existent, it is clear that the public sector absorbs the largest number of employees in the country, with persistent effects on the total wage bill. But in situations where there are limited vacancies for workers, many employees have no choice but to sometimes adapt to working as contract workers. John and Daniel are contract workers who just started working in the public sector. For them, they do not feel safe as workers.
The amount of time you are working for, so you just, if it's 1 month, if it's 6 months, we all know we are working for 6 months then. After the 6 months, we are done.
Yeah. So you also feel it's something that you wish you had, not necessarily having a permanent job?
No, I don't wish for that. But I think it would be nice if they do it permanently. Yeah, to have us as permanent workers. But it's still cool with the contract. Yeah.
Is it because you have no option?
Yeah, for now we have no option for now. So that's the position we find ourselves into now.
Do you feel safe being a contract worker here in Ghana? Do you feel safe?
I'm not fully safe because once the contracts end and I have nothing doing, that's a different case.
What about you? Do you feel safe as a contractor?
For me, I have no say about that because I'm still a student. So after the contract, I can still continue schooling and other stuffs.
But you're going to be done with school, definitely.
Sure. Yeah. Oh, then I'm not sure I'll be safe with that. I'm not sure. We having a contract and ending that time, we don't know when we'll be called again to come and work. Others will be there idle, doing nothing, and this brings lots of problems.
The concerns by John and Daniel corroborate calls by the Industrial and Commercial Workers Union, ICU, for the employers to better the conditions of especially contract workers. According to the ICU, activities of some recruitment agencies and outsourcing companies are just using their operations to cheat workers. We put these concerns to a renowned labor expert who took part in drafting Ghana's labor laws, Opening Patrick Obingfosu. For him, most employers are currently abusing the labor laws of the country.
And we did as much as we can to make this law one of the best. That's why we invited the high law to come and witness our discussions.
Do you think it's high time we reveal some of
Yeah, I'm coming to that. You see, but you agree with me that there is nothing in this world apart from God which is perfect. You can't get a perfect anything. You see, you can get something near perfect, but you can't get any perfect, like say absolute. You don't have absolute, for example, freedom. Who can tell you that you have absolute freedom? Otherwise, we'll take a cutlass one day and go around and say you are sorting people because it's your freedom to do that. But it's not allowed. So there are some of the things which need to be looked at. But as I told you, our ordinances and acts that we repealed started as far back as 1940. And this law is 203, which means it's about 63 years or so before this law became power. So you see, even that one, we were making amendments from time to time. And I think we can still make amendments in this one too. Most of the things people are talking about are in this law. For example, productivity. The law says here that when we are discussing pay, you should go with productivity. You see, and if you are not bargaining for productivity, it is whose fault? it's not the fault of anybody but the participants themselves. That is the employer and the employee. You see, they should discuss it. You see, and I don't see why some people think that, you see, I want to show you something in the law. Duties, you see. And if you don't do according to the rules of the law, it's the game, the rules of the game. If you don't do according to the rules of the game, you know you'll be fired. So they do according to the rules of the game. And you go anywhere, you see that Ghanaians are the best workers. So I think that here, you should also look at it. Here, those people who cheat, and I know, are mostly these Lebanese, and there's something that they go, I sack you and so on. We don't sack somebody like that. You see, the first person who did international relations in this world is God himself. When God created everything and he created the Garden of Eden, he put Adam and Eve there. God knew everything, so he knew they would go wrong one day. But he wanted to see whether the parties are sensible or strong. So he walked to the garden one day and said, "What are you?" He said, "We are here." "Why are you here?" "They are hiding." "Why are you hiding?" "Because we are naked." "Why are you naked?" He said, "Because you have done something wrong." "Yeah, maybe you have ate the fruit I told you not to eat." Yeah. God knew all these things. But when he told them that, he applied the industrial relations system. That is worker management relations. The manager is God himself, and the workers are the manager. And asked them, and then Adam said, "If you have not created the woman, this will not happen. If you created me alone, you have created me alone." And the woman too said that it is a serpent who also worried me. You know, God listened to them before he apportioned the blame. So it behoves on every employer in the country to listen to the worker before he or she apportions the blame. But some people don't listen. They just sack you. And that's why they have the Labour Commission. If they sack you like that, without going through the processes, then the Labour Commission will say that you went wrong. Please, do the right thing.
Opportunities there are more fixed. They are well spelled out. You know what you're about. And sciences there has reached a level where Ghana hasn't reached. So certainly they would be my choice.
It's okay, just that it was hectic. I realized that the workload is too much, and you know, as compared to outside, one problem that I had with our country here is that you work and you are paid at the end of the month. But when you go outside, you paid per hour. You understand, and so it helps you to improve productivity. It's, you know, at the end of the day, what we seek to achieve is to realize a dream, and with this dream, you want to make money.
Joy Business had earlier reported on how some Ghanaians prefer establishing careers abroad rather than staying home. Issues of poor remuneration, long unpaid working hours, and the non-payment of SNIT contributions came up.
The foreign countries, or probably the countries outside, they provide us with, let me say, conducive conditions that would help us grow our business, expand, and most of the things that are really flexible, you understand. Here in Ghana, if you even look at our tax system, if you look at the opportunities here, they are really limited. But when you go out there, there are a number of things you can do with the small amount of money you have. So I think they provide a lot of opportunities as compared to our country here.
Sure. It is really going to benefit we the youth, because we having a contract and ending at time, we don't know when we'll be called again to come and work. Others will be there idle, doing nothing, and this brings lots of problems. Yeah.
Another labor expert, Austin Garmer, shares in the pain of these Ghanaians. He tells Joy Business the menace of unemployment and brain drain could escalate if Ghana's Labour Act is not enforced.
So as a country, we need truly to open up to create the enabling environment for jobs to be created, to absorb them, as many as possible, and have other channels of opportunity open to them to enable them to be able to even create their own jobs. So that is a very, very unfortunate situation that we find ourselves in as a nation. But it has happened, so we had to find a solution. The labor force the management team both must understand that there's a need for us to respond to the actual situation on the ground.
Turning away from labour issues now, and Professor of Cardiology at the University of Wales, Professor Nicholas Osei-Jennings, is impressing on herbal practitioners to subject their products to strict proof.
There are many claims that some traditional medicines can cure 2 or more diseases at a time. But as we put the spotlight on herbal medicines ahead of the Joy Business Health and Wellness Trade Show, we find out what impact herbal medicines have had in the healthcare delivery system. Cardiologist Professor Nicholas Osei-Jennings says herbal practitioners must do more to prove their claims.
You put them on aspirin versus no aspirin, and you do the body count. How many people are dead, in a month? It's actually very simple, and these trials have been done. So when I give aspirin to a patient, I can say to him, you know what, this can reduce your risk of dying by 25%. That is because the trial has been done in millions, literally millions of patients around the world, where the trial has been done. You've put patients on aspirin versus no aspirin, and aspirin has been shown to reduce death rate by 25%. You can actually count the bodies. You don't have to guess. So, when some herbal man comes to me and says, this herbal drug, it can, give you the best sex life, or it can cure all your headaches, it can do any number of things. It's a very simple question. Prove it. Okay.
Professor Osei-Jennings believes the potent claims of traditional medicines are without any scientific base.
As a traditional, I should say, a conservative medic, for me, it's very, very simple. I want to use medications that have been demonstrated, that have been shown to work, and have been shown in a clinical trial to work. So I don't have to guess anymore. Anecdote is a great thing. To come to me and say, you know what, my great grandma had, an apple, and when he ate the apple, his hair cancer disappeared. I'm afraid it's of no use to me whatsoever. That could have been purely chance. That could have been luck.
Some stakeholders have, however, called on government to regulate the production of herbal medicines for proper healthcare delivery.
The Bank of Ghana says it is awaiting passage of the Payment and Settlements Bill before it can approve MTN's self-servicing kiosk for mobile money transactions. This follows the rollout of MTN's service, which the company says would for now be limited to buying airtime and SIM cards. Meanwhile, a section of the public has been reacting to the decision by the Telecoms giant to roll out this initiative.
It's good. It's good for me. Only that, when machines begins to be introduced, now the human face aspect begins to diminish. So it means that people are going to lose their businesses because, the mobile man, the human one also provide a lot of employment for a lot of people. That is where my fear is. But looking at the other side of the coin, it is a perfect idea because here you wouldn't have the issue of somebody keying a wrong number where your money will go somewhere else and that kind of stuff. So it's a good idea, but
my thought is good. It's okay for the system to be used because it will save us from this kind of robbery, and people will be monitoring you when going to the vendor to take money, and they will be watching you where you are passing. They will just trace you up to go and rob. I think this will be very better enough.
I don't think it can help us. Maybe some of us like that, maybe we cannot do things our own. So if the machine there, I cannot go and tell the machine to do that thing for me. So if I come with the person is there, I just give him my detail, everything. He just done it perfect for me to go. So this machine cannot help me.
From my point of view, I think doing the mobile money as in a form of ATM is good though, but for me, where I live, there is a Vodafone agent behind me. Doing the ATM mobile money at Malata, I can't walk from my house to Malata, even maybe if I'm sick. So for the agents around me, I can just walk nearby to do my cashing out.
It is going to take a lot of people out of business because the MTN, I know, had actually created a lot of employment. And when this machine comes, then it means that businesses are not going to function.
Time now for our interview of the day, and the Ghana Revenue Authority is sending a strong signal to prospective car buyers to ensure that all their vehicles purchased have the necessary documentation. The authority has begun a series of campaigns to get rid of uncustomed vehicles from the country as a way of preventing illicit revenue losses and car smuggling. Assistant Commissioner in charge of preventives at the GRA, Alhaji Idrisu Seidu, gave the warning in an interview with Joy Business.
A car is not like a commodity that you can hide in your room. It's on the road for several years. So whatever you do, one day it will be caught, just like the ones that we have just caught here and you've seen. So normally what we do is to advise the general public that if you are buying a car and you have agreed at the price for the car with the person selling, just approach the nearest custom office and they will assist in determining whether the car is properly customed before you part with money. Otherwise, you part with money, and the time you are caught, because he knows that what he's doing, by the time you are caught, he is gone. You may not be able to trace him. And the car it will be confiscated and you lose your money.
Okay, Assistant Commissioner, what of those cars that are registered, but we've still,
we have problems with them? Yes.
What happens at the DVLA?
There are several things that happen. Some of them don't actually go to a DVLA. Some have got fake numbers on them. Some go to a DVLA, but manage to get some crooks to help them. You know, in Ghana, there's a term called Goro Boys at the DVLA. You go there, they can sometimes, without even sending your car, they're able to see some people. And some of even the documents, even currently, DVLA themselves are even going, their stickers themselves have even been forged. So some of the things you see are not actually, they didn't go through. There are some few which goes through and they are able to dodge our officers and even dodge those who are checked, the supervisors in DVLA, and get some, in every house there's a Mensa. So but majority of them who are registered, they are fraudulently registered.
And on that note, we wrap up this holiday edition of Business Live. It's been great having you on board. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji. Have a good evening.